So yeah, I did get a good amount of hate. This is by Radom6547. You don't know much. Do your DD, you effing Chinese. Wow, pretty aggressive there. I've gotten hate in the past before, but I think this is the most hateful comment I've ever gotten. I've never had a direct racist comment before. So yeah, congrats to this guy, Radom6547, for being ignorant and being wrong. Clown on you. Please like the video, please subscribe, and catch me every weekday after market close on the Smarter Gambling Show. Okay, so here is SST System 1. This finishes at $25.93 today. That is up 11.38%. So we discussed this stock last week. This was definitely short squeezing. This stock had good earnings, and that's what really kickstarted the short squeeze. And ever since then, it's been squeezing for a couple days here. So I did predict on Friday that today, Monday, this stock would likely go up due to the aftermarket action. That was a bullish indicator. And yeah, it's up over 11% today. So still squeezing, although the momentum is cooling off. So I believe the squeeze is coming to an end. But yeah, let's go ahead and analyze here. And really, there's not too much to go off of. So we do have this gap up at 17.25. That's a bearish indicator. That is telling us that the stock should come back down to 17.25 eventually to fill this gap. And actually, there was another gap up at 21.40, which got filled today. And in the aftermarket here, this is pulling back down to $24. So that is a bearish indicator for tomorrow. That is suggesting that tomorrow the stock will sell off. And if you guys want to follow along, the link to the chart is in the description down below. So right now, this is trading between the sideways channel, the rectangle of 26.80 and 22.90. So if this goes to the upside, next levels of resistance would be 26.80, 28.45, 29.40, 34.25, and then the high of 37.10. And if this goes to the downside, next levels of support would be 22.90, 22, 21.40, 20.35, 18.95, 18.20, 17.65, 17.25, 16.65, 16.05, 15.60, 15.15, and then 14.65. There is support below 14.65, but we're not going to discuss that right now. So right now at this current price, $25.95, the channels to the upside and the downside are very wide, so expect significant price action either way this goes. However, if/when this breaks 18.20 to the downside, the channel starts to narrow, so expect a significant decrease in price action if/when this breaks 18.20. RSI is currently at 73, so that is in overbought, overvalued territory, so be careful, guys. And this did 11 million in volume today. Very significant volume, way above the average of 600,000. So this pump today was confirmed by the volume. Still short squeezing, but it appears like the momentum is cooling off. Volume is coming down from the past couple of days. So it appears like the short squeeze is starting to wind down and come to an end. All right, guys, just my opinion, not financial advice. So we are getting some pretty strong bearish indicators here. In the gap up, aftermarket action, high RSI, volume coming down. So a lot of bearish indicators, no bullish indicators, and no neutral indicators. So in the short term, this appears to be really bearish. So therefore, if you want to go long, not financial advice, I would not do that. I would not recommend that. Seems way too late to go long here at 26. Already missed your chance. Should have went long around 15. I would say going long here would be a high risk, medium reward play. There may be some more upside potential, but really shouldn't be too much more. And like I said, looks really bearish in the short term. So really not worth it in my opinion to go long here. If you want to go long, I would hold off, wait until 17.25 where the gap is. It should come back down there eventually. And I think that'd be a pretty good entry. It may even go lower than that. But yeah, I don't like the entry of 25.95. I would support going long at 17.25 and lower. And if it pulls back below 17.25, then you can just average down at the supports that I mentioned before. Now, if you want to go short now, financial advice, seems like a pretty decent play. So here at this current price, $26 down to 17.25, where the gap is, that is about a 35% downside. So a good amount of downside potential here, a good amount of money to be made. So I would say going short here would be a medium risk, high reward play. I say medium risk because there is still more upside potential, but really shouldn't go too much higher. It appears like the squeeze is coming to an end, winding down. So going short here is definitely worth a shot. Again, a lot of bearish indicators. So this should be a relatively easy 35% to the downside, in my opinion. So I would support going short at $26 and higher, and I would say cover at $17.25 where the gap is. And that should be a relatively easy 35% gain on the downside. So yeah, pretty straightforward, guys. Definitely still in the middle of a short squeeze, but looks like it's winding down. Momentum cooling off. So sooner or later, this is going to have to pull back. So I don't think going long is a great idea here. Missed your chance. If you want to go long, I would hold off to 1725 where the gap is. And if you want to go short, it seems like a pretty good play to me. A lot of bearish indicators, a lot of downside potential. So this should pull back down to 1725 where the gap is. And that should be a relatively easy 35% gain. All right. So congratulations to everyone who made money in the stock today. Consider taking profits if you're up, not financial advice. And good luck to everyone currently in the stock and to everyone looking to take a position. This is SST System 1. So here is ATER Aterian. This finishes at $4.04 today. That is down 13.49%. So here's another stock that we discussed last week. Another stock that I predicted would pull back. And a lot of apes were not happy about that. Received a good amount of hate from that as well. And we got some more comments, so let's read them. All right, so this is from George Fisher. You say you are not really sure why it's been running the last few days. Seriously, you might be the only person that has not been following the incredible short squeeze potential. Number 1, short squeeze potential, and number 2, gamma squeeze potential. Do some research. Follow news instead of charts. Yes, I agree. You should follow news and charts. The thing is, this is not really news. Going on social media where everyone is screaming it's gonna squeeze is not news. That's speculation. And nowadays, a lot of people get confused with the difference between news and speculation. DD is supposed to be fundamental and technical analysis, not go on social media and scream one moon. And also, you should be looking at the charts. That's how I predicted this would pull back down to 390, and it did. And this one is by Sham God. You know nothing. ATER to the moon. Yeah, I know nothing, but, I called that this would pull back 390, and it did. So, what do I know? Give him the clown. So yeah, some people just never learn. I tell you guys my opinion. I back it up with evidence. I show you the charts. People just don't want to hear it because they're emotionally invested in their stocks. And what's their argument? One moon. Some people learn, some people don't. What you gonna do? Can't feel that bad. So yeah, major price action on the stock today. Pulled back 13.5% and was still trending top 10 on StockTwits. Had like 2,500 mentions. So once again, we're going to analyze it. So first of all, this appears to be a cup and handle in the making. Bottom of the cup being the low of 210. And there can be multiple possible tops. It can be 460. And if it is 460, that'd be a bearish indicator because that would mean the cup already topped out and is due for a pullback to form the handle. But it can also be above 460. Anything above 460 would be a bullish indicator. It can also be 565, 680, 865, 1045, 1190, 1420, 1705, or even 1905. So the cup and handle can be a bullish or bearish indicator depending on where the top is. Although I do think the most realistic tops would be 460 or 565. But it seems like in the longer term, it's a bullish indicator, and in the shorter term, it's a bearish indicator. So we do have this gap up at 389. So that is a bearish indicator that is telling us that the stock should come back down to 389 to fill this gap. It almost did today. It went to 392. So 3 cents away from filling the gap, but didn't quite get there. So yeah, bearish indicator. This should come back down to 389 to fill this gap. We also have a gap down back here at 853. So that is a bullish indicator that is telling us that the stock should eventually come back up to 853 to fill this gap. May take a while, but eventually it should. And if you guys want to follow along, the link to the chart is in the description down below. So right now this is trading between the sideways channel, the rectangle of 410 and 355. So if this goes to the upside, next levels of resistance would be 410, 460, 510, 565, 610, 640, 680, 745, $8, $8.65, $9.10, $9.55, $9.95, and then $10.45. There is resistance above $10.45. We're not going to discuss that right now. And if this goes to the downside, next levels of support would be $3.55, $3.05, $2.55, $2.10, and then $1.40. So right now at this current price, $4.04, the channels to the upside and the downside are pretty decently sized. So expect a regular amount of price action either way this goes. However, if/when this breaks $6.80 to the upside, the channel starts to open up and get pretty wide. So expect a significant increase in price action if/when this breaks $6.80. RSI is currently at 62. So no longer in overbought and overvalued territory, but still on the high side there. So according to the RSI, this current price of 404 should be a bit lower. And this did 20 million in volume today, which is above the average of 7 million. So the sell-off today was confirmed by the volume, although it appears like the volume is pulling back pretty significantly from the past few days. So it appears like the squeeze is winding down and coming to an end. So just my opinion, guys, not financial advice. So long term, this looks like a good stock to buy and hold to diamond hands. Got some pretty strong bullish indicators in the cup and handle and gap down. But in the short term, I do think this will continue to pull back to at least 390 where the gap is. Didn't quite get there today, and possibly even lower. So I think it's going to keep pulling back but really shouldn't have too much more downside to go. So therefore, if you want to go long, not financial advice, 404 is a pretty decent entry. But like I said, RSI is a little on the high side. I still think the gap at 390 has to fill. So I do think there's a bit more downside to go here. So while you really can't go too wrong buying in at 404, I would hold off to at least 390. It should come back down there so you can get a little bit better of a price. And if it pulls back below 390, then you can just average down at the supports that I mentioned before. Now, if you want to go short, not financial advice, honestly, it's not really even worth it. You should be able to make some money here. This should pull back down to 390 where the gap is. That's about a 5% downside. Maybe it'll go lower than that. So I would say going short here would be a low risk, low reward play. Should be a relatively easy 5%, but nothing too exciting. And personally, I wouldn't even bother with it. So if you guys want to go short, then sure, you have my support. And I would say cover it at 390 where the gap is for an easy small gain here. Really no reason to go short here, but there is a little bit of money to be made, so I can support that. But yeah, guys, pretty straightforward here. Long term, looks like a good stock to buy and hold. A lot of upside potential in the cup and handle and gap down. Short term, it looks like it should pull back a little bit more, but really shouldn't have too much more downside to go. So if you want to go long, I would just hold off for a little bit. 404 is not a bad price, but you should be able to get a little bit better at 390 and lower. And if you want to go short, that is a relatively easy 5% gain on the downside, but really not even worth it in my opinion. So yeah, this stock is right around where it's supposed to be, in my opinion. Maybe it should be a little bit lower. So sorry to everyone who lost money in the stock today, and good luck to everyone currently in the stock and to everyone looking to take a position. This is ATER Aterian. So here is SBFM, Sunshine Biopharma. This finishes at $4.73 today. That is down 21.56%.
And it's gone.
So we discussed this stock last week. I did predict the squeeze was over, and it should pull back pretty hard. A lot of apes did not like that. A lot of apes were very unhappy with me. But hey, I just keep it 100, guys. And yeah, today it's down 21.56%. So yeah, I did get a good amount of hate. Some pretty good comments. So let's actually start off by reviewing some comments here. This is by Radum6547. You don't know much. Do your DD, you effing Chinese. Wow, pretty aggressive there. So I will say, I've gotten hate in the past before, but I think this is the most hateful comment I've ever gotten. I've never had a direct racist comment before. So this one takes the cake. He says, there are 3 more squeezes to come starting Monday, finish Wednesday. You sure about that, dude? So yeah, congrats to this guy, Radum6547, for being ignorant and being wrong. Clown on you. So yeah, looks like I was right in my prediction on Friday in saying that this has a long way to go to the downside, and looks like it's not done selling off just yet. So let's go ahead and analyze here. So first of all, this appears to be a cup and handle, bottom of the cup being 150, the low, and it appears like the top of the cup was $10. So if the top is $10, that would be a bearish indicator, because that would mean the cup topped out and is due for a pullback to form the handle. But the top can be above $10 as well. It can be 1080, 1370, or even the high of 1885. So yeah, the cup and handle can be bullish or bearish depending on where the top is. I do think this already topped out at $10. So in the short term, it appears to be bearish, but in the longer term, it can be bullish. And then we have a double gap up. First gap up back here at 170. So that's a bearish indicator. That is telling us that the stock may come back down to 170 to fill this gap. Looks pretty unlikely at this point, but possible, so be aware of that, guys. And then we have another gap up at 240. So another bearish indicator. That is telling us that the stock may come back down to 240 to fill this gap. That one is a lot more realistic. I think that one is very possible. And in the aftermarket here, this is pulling back down to 452. So that is a bearish indicator for tomorrow. If this holds, that is suggesting that tomorrow the stock will sell off as well. And if you guys want to follow along, the link to the chart is in the description down below. So right now, this is trading between the sideways channel, the rectangle of 485 and 445. So if this goes to the upside, next levels of resistance would be 485, 510, 555, $6, 630, 670, 715, 755, 785, 810, 840, 875, 905, 945, 975, and then 995. There is resistance above 995, but we're not going to discuss that right now. And if this goes to the downside, next levels of support would be 445, 420, lol, nice, 390, 360, 330, 295, 265, 240, 220, $2, 180, 160, and then the low of 150. So right now at this current price, 473, the channels to the upside and the downside are pretty wide, so expect significant price action either way this goes. However, if/when this breaks 445 to the downside, the channels start to narrow, so expect a significant decrease in price action if/when this breaks 445. And to the upside, if/when this breaks 755, the channels start to narrow. So expect a significant decrease in price action if/when this breaks 755. RSI is currently at 54, so no longer in overbought and overvalued territory. It was 2 days ago, so pretty average there. A little bit above average. So according to the RSI, this current price of 473 is around fair market value. Maybe should be a little bit lower. And this did 21 million in volume today. Very significant volume, way above the average of 1.5 million. So this sell-off today was confirmed by the volume, although that is a major pullback in volume from the last couple of days. So yeah, it definitely appears like the squeeze is over and the price is coming back down to earth. Okay guys, just my opinion, not financial advice. So longer term, this looks like a good stock to buy and hold. Got a pretty strong bullish indicator in the cup and handle. But in the short term, we are getting some pretty strong bearish indicators here. Double gap up, aftermarket action, volume coming down, momentum cooling off, and we have a neutral indicator in the RSI. So short term, looks pretty bearish. So therefore, if you want to go long, not financial advice, I would not do that, and I would not recommend that. Looks like a falling knife right now. Looks like the short squeeze is over, and is due for a massive pullback. So this already pulled back pretty hard from $10, over 50%, and still looks like there's a lot of downside to go. So I don't like the entry of 473. It's probably going to keep crashing, and you're probably going to end up getting burned if you go long here. I would say going long here would be a high risk, low reward play. Doesn't really make too much sense. Not much upside potential. A lot of downside potential. So if you want to go long, I would say hold off and set your buy orders to 240, where the gap is. It should at least come back down to 240. Maybe even lower than that. Maybe back down to 170, where the second gap is. Major gaps there. Those should fill. Strong bearish indicators. So I don't like the entry of 473. I would support going long at 240 and lower, and if it pulls back below 240, then you can just average down at the supports that I mentioned before. Now, if you want to go short, not financial advice, again, very strong bearish indicators in the short term. This should keep pulling back. A lot of downside to go. So last week I said go short at 965, and you would have made a lot of money if you went short at 965, over 50%. But even here at 473, there's still a lot of downside potential, and it's still a pretty good entry. So yeah, from this current price, 473, down to 240 where the gap is, that's about a 50% downside. So this already pulled back very significantly, but still a lot of downside to go. It's still not too late to enter. So going short here would be a low risk, high reward play. Squeeze looks like it's over, probably not going to the upside, and a lot of downside potential. So you should be able to make at least 50% here, maybe even more if it pulls back below 240. But yeah, I would support going short at 473 and higher, and I would cover at 240 for a relatively easy 50% gain on the downside. And it may even go lower than that. So pretty straightforward here, guys. Long term, this stock will have its day again. But in the short term, this has definitely been short squeezing, and the squeeze is over. So if you want to go long, I don't think that's a great idea. It's a falling knife right now. Probably going to get burned. I would hold off to 240 where the gap is. And if you want to go short, it looks like a pretty excellent short play. Already pulled back pretty hard, but still a lot of downside potential. So I think going short would be a good play. And I would cover at 240 where the gap is for a relatively easy 50%. So sorry to everyone who lost money in the stock today. And good luck to everyone currently in the stock and to everyone looking to take a position. This is SBFM, Sunshine Biopharma. Thanks everyone for watching today. I appreciate you guys. Please like the video. Please subscribe and catch me every weekday after market close on the Smarter Gambling Show. You apes already know. Diamond hands to the moon. I'm Ty. This is Smarter Gambling. See you guys tomorrow. Peace out.